Leadership matters, and one of the true metrics of success in leadership is the ability to replace oneself with people more capable than themselves to run the business that they are currently running. Today on the Working Cows podcast, we're going to talk to Josh Kerpan about how he did just that.
It's maybe a bit of a hit on the ego that I don't have to be around all the time, but ultimately that was the goal. And we're sort of getting there. And the final step was to replace myself. I just was very hesitant to do that because I didn't know what the heck I would want to do. I have no doubt that I could find somebody better than me to do this job. And I think that I have, incidentally. I needed to replace myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And that's been a big part of my executive link journey, actually, is fleshing this out. And that is what has led me to here, to what I would like to do next, is to be able to help people to implement some of these systems and gain at least some peace of mind, the ability to take advantage of opportunities and really buy the freedom to do whatever they'd like.
We will talk to him about the importance of purpose, people, and processes in accomplishing this goal today on this episode 407 of the Working Cows podcast, brought to you by Ranch Right and the Wineglass Ranch.
Welcome to the podcast that gives producers a platform to discuss and share paradigm-challenging practices. Practices that have increased the effectiveness of their operation and the joy that their families have received from this lifestyle.
Howdy, everybody. It's Clay Connery, host of the Working Cows podcast, recorded exclusively in the Understanding Ag studios. I'm very excited to be joined today by Josh Kerpan. He is from Saskatchewan, and he has been on a journey over the past number of years to scale his farm to the point that he would be able to hire other people to execute on the purpose and the processes that he has designed, and then eventually replace himself. And that's the journey that he's been on. And he's going to share with us about the execution of that vision and the importance of the purposes and the processes and the people in making that into a reality today on the Working Cows podcast, after we hear a word from our sponsor today, Ranch Right. New year, new goals. Let Ranch Right help you accomplish those goals by using your financials as a compass to build a business that both works for you and serves you. This new year is the perfect time to start off on the right foot, and Ranch Right is it. If you are ready to have a business that works for you versus you having to constantly work for it, then visit ranchrightllc.com. Ranch Right is here to help you take your financials and use them as a compass to build a business that is strong, long-lasting, and ready to tackle the new year. Visit www.ranchrightllc.com. Your goals start now. Josh, thanks for joining me today on the Working Cows podcast.
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're up to, kind of getting started on this journey of helping people optimize their businesses and their leadership and all those things. So what are some of the challenges that are facing businesses right now, or specifically, regenerative agricultural businesses? What are some of the challenges that you see them facing, particularly at this point?
Yeah, I don't think that it's unique to regenerative agriculture or agriculture, period, frankly. But for small business owners and entrepreneurs, generally, they get into business not to run a business, but because it's something that they love to do or something that they're really good at. And because they're really good at it, they build something really cool. And then all of a sudden they look around and they realize they're sort of trapped in their business because it's become successful and probably provides them some financial, payback, and provides a lot of value to some other people. And it all revolves around them and what they do. And so you get into that spot, and I call it the entrepreneurial trap, and you can't escape, you can't get out. And that's something that I think most small business owners that have any success get to at some point. So that's the big challenge that I certainly faced, in my business, and have worked to overcome it for sure. And it's something that I've had some success overcoming. So I would like to be able to help people to overcome that as well.
Yeah, that is huge. That entrepreneurial trap is a big one for sure. I totally see that. Been there myself, and see it in other industries. I just talking to you a little bit before we started recording here that I just gave a talk at the South Dakota Grassland Coalition, and one of the things I said there was we feel like in agriculture, especially in the circles that you and I tend to run in, that we are unique in the fact that we aren't very good as business managers and leaders, right? That every other business has this figured out. It's just the agriculturalists. We love the lifestyle, and so we're willing to put up with a poor return from our business because we love the lifestyle. And being in some groups of podcasters recently who are trying to make their businesses better, and most of them are business podcasts where they have a business, a consulting business. They're running a podcast to generate leads for their consulting business, right? One of them was sitting there, and she said, I run a podcast for interior designers, and I'm teaching these interior designers how to run a business, because most interior designers got into the business because they love the business, not because they like running, or because they love interior design, not because they like running a business. And I'm like, I said to the Grassland Coalition group, I said, I thought I clicked on the wrong link, and I ended up in a Ranching for Profit webinar. And, because that's just, you just change the business title, and you would hear that anywhere in our circles. And so I think that entrepreneurial trap of, I love this and I am passionate about it enough to create a compelling business, but then at some point we get to that point where we've kind of maxed out and we need to make a change to go beyond that. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I would say that you maybe don't get into it. You think that you're going to build a business around it, but really you just create a job right, that you own, which is really cool. I mean, owning your own job is awesome. I had somebody else own my job. It didn't last very long. I think we were both happy when it ended. Everything is much better now. But then I just went and built myself a job, and I was my own boss, and I was a worse boss than my old boss. So that didn't work out that great either. But but yeah, you go ahead and you create yourself something around this thing that you love, but it is just a job until you turn it into a business. And entrepreneurs and small business owners really, I think by nature, largely enjoy their freedom. They enjoy the ability to create, to do the things that they want to do. So because of that, they resist a lot of structures and things that can hold them back. And the irony is that strategic systems put in place really can free people to do what they do best. In any given business, there are a bazillion different tasks to do, right? And we can talk about farmers and ranchers specifically. We think we're awesome at everything that we do. The reality is we're awesome at a couple of things. We're good or competent at a whole bunch of things, and we're really bad at a bunch of things, or a few things. And we have to do them all, unless we get big enough where we can build a team to do the things that we're not so good at. But if you can get to yourself to a point where you're not doing the things that you're not good at, and you can outsource them, you can hire them out. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but it all comes down to having systems in place to be able to do that. You can't just kind of willy-nilly say, I'm going to go and hire this out or add an employee. I mean, a lot of people go down that road. So I'm a rancher and I don't like building fence. I'm going to hire somebody to go build fence, and that person takes you twice as much time as what it would have took you just to go and build it, right? So even just if you want to hire one contractor, you've got to have a system in place to be able to do that properly. Let them know the job that wants to be done and delegate that properly so that it doesn't cost you more time and money that it would have cost you just to do it yourself.
Are there common pieces that are going to be a part of that system to help those things be more successful? As far as hiring somebody, you're going to have a system, and what are some of the pieces of that system that's going to help that process go smoothly?
Yeah. So the system that I've put in place here over the last number of years, I call it POP. So Peak Organizational Performance System. And really the principles are valid, I think, for any organization, business organization, right down to the family level. And it's built around the idea that there are three sort of components to an optimized business or organization, and that's purpose, people, and process or processes. And I've got them organized into a pyramid because I don't think that they have relative importance, equal relative importance. I think all three are necessary, absolutely, but I don't think that they're all equally important. I think purpose absolutely has to come first. You have to understand your purpose as a person, certainly as an individual, and then as a business. And your purpose is made up of your mission and vision. And first there, I think, is your mission and really understanding, a deep understanding as to why you exist. So who you serve, how you serve them, why they choose you. And when you dig deep into that, you learn a lot about your business that you really didn't know. And most people don't go that deep. So that is step one, is to really understand your purpose. And out of that grows your core values. So that your core values define essentially who your ideal teammate would be or employee. Oftentimes it might be the founder of your business or the founder plus or minus a few values or principles. But I view it as your purpose is sort of the bedrock, granite bedrock foundation. Once you set it, it is set in stone. It shifts a little bit, sort of like, the earth shifts a little bit, but only a degree or two here or there. And out of that grows this tree, and the core values of the roots, and they grow out of your purpose, and they really tie the people to the purpose. And so when you're talking about bringing people into your business, you bring people into your business based on core values. So they have to match your core values. If they match your core values and understand your purpose and it aligns with theirs, then that is the right person to bring into your organization. Now you have to look at if you have the right place for that person. So if you have those two things, you'll have a right fit person. The right place means you've got the right job for them. They understand it. They have the competencies to do it, and they want to do it. So you've got those two things in place. If you can check both those boxes, then that will be a good person to bring on board. But that's how we look at who we want to bring into our business, even if it is a contractor. If they don't understand our core values and really live by them too, then they're not going to be a good partner for us.
Yeah. Can we pause for a second? I'd like to work through the rest of those in the pyramid. But first, I'd like to dig in a little bit on these ones. What is your process for helping people set the mission and vision, or how do we go about developing that mission and vision statement? Is there a process that you like or find that works better than others?
Yeah. So it's asking why a lot, especially on your mission. And it really is asking why until you can't ask it anymore. But and defining who your customer is, that is number one. Any organization exists to provide value to a customer, even if you're a nonprofit, a church, whatever you want. You exist for a reason, and that is to provide some sort of a value to somebody else. And so that is your customer, whether they pay you or not. That is your customer. So you need to identify your customer, and then really identify the value that you provide them. And that is often mistaken for the commodity that you provide them, which can be very misleading. So we do a lot of grain farming here. Traditionally, and in the past, I've always looked at my customer as Viterra or Cargill or whoever we sell our grain to. I mean, it was a natural relationship. I didn't understand any better way of looking at that relationship. And then I got to thinking, why did they buy from me? Who are my competitors? And why would they buy from me instead of my competitors? And I realized that they don't. I choose to sell to them. So they are my customer, but there was more to it than that. And I had to dig deeper and find out who was it that I was adding unique value to. And so that is the process is identifying your customer or customers or the people involved in your business, the stakeholders of your business that you provide unique value to, identifying that unique value and then really leaning into that. That is where you can grow from.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. Asking why a lot and identifying your customer and how you provide them unique value, right? Yeah. That's good. So the core values, can you give me some examples of the core values? What might those sound like or be?
So for us, ours are like growth, integrity, collaboration, balance, and oftentimes, like when I first did my core values, I just went on the internet, typed in core values, and I picked 5 or 6 that I thought looked good, right? Yeah. These sound good. I like them. They do identify me, but that was not deep enough because we're going to recruit, retain, replace, reward, and replace based on core values. So when we recruit, we make sure that they match our core values. We communicate them very clearly. These are our core values. And if you don't meet them, and even if you just pretend to meet them for today to get the job, this is going to come back and not really end that well. So we're going to recruit based on core values, reward based on core values, how well they adhere to core values, retain and replace. So ultimately, you don't ever want to, but if people are not adhering to your core values, if they don't match your core values, then that's when you replace them. So for us, it was a process of making sure that we had identified through each of our core values what was, ultimately extremely important in the people that we had here. And growth, for instance, was one of those things that originally I didn't have in there. And then I recognized that as a business, we are really always putting in new systems and trying new things, always trying to get better. And that can be very uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable, at least, and sometimes painful. So you have to have people that are really interested in growing to be in our farm. If not, it's going to be a struggle. So that was really important for us. It might not be for everybody, but that's the process of you got to go deep into that again a little bit, right? It's not just picking some fancy terms that you think that's really cool, because you're going to bring in people and let go of people based on how well they fit your company, and that's defined by the core values.
Yeah. You said collaboration was one of them, right? Can you give me an example of what that looks like or what you mean by that?
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, for instance, it means just coming together and working together to solve problems, not being too proud to take advice or criticism from somebody else. I mean, the whole is going to be much stronger than the sum of the parts. That is the idea behind it, right? We want to leverage against each other to become more than just the sum of the team. So that is what I mean by collaboration, really important.
Let's take a quick break and hear a word from our sponsor today, the Wineglass Ranch. 1,400 head of Wineglass Ranch Easy Keepers are coming up for sale at Oglala Livestock Auction Market on Wednesday, March 26th. Wineglass's proven grazing genetics mean these cows will work for you, not the other way around. This sale will be a rare opportunity and a complete age dispersion of coming 5-year-olds to 9-year-olds. 1,000 of these will calve for 25 days starting mid-April, and 400 calve for 25 days starting in early May. If you want more information on getting your hands on the Wineglass Easy Keepers at Oglala Livestock Auction Market Wednesday, March 26th, and across the Fruited Plain online, you can go to workingcows.net/406 and find links to wineglassranchinc.com. So I think the pyramid was made up of purpose, process, then people, or was did I get that right?
Purpose, people, and then process.
Okay, people's next. All right. So tell me about the people part of the pyramid. I would like to hear a little bit about why purpose is at the bottom and the role that it plays in relationship to people and process as well.
So purpose is at the bottom just because it's the foundation. It is the bedrock. And so it's right behind me on the wall here. I've got a little diagram that I use, and the tree grows out of the bedrock, and there's a compass around the tree that indicates direction. So however you set your foundation of your bedrock of your purpose, that's going to dictate the direction that the tree grows, assuming that it's going to grow perpendicular to the ground like most trees do. And that will determine the direction of your entire business. So then it's just a matter of aligning your people and your process with your purpose. So that is why purpose is at the bottom. I believe it to be the most important thing, the first thing that you need to get right. I think there is a lot of businesses, in particular, a lot of small business entrepreneurships that have built decent processes, at least good external processes. That's sort of what we're talking about, the entrepreneurial trap, a successful business that has something big and beautiful that the world sees and they think it's awesome, but it's built on top of a foundation of sticks, and they don't really know where they want to go with it or how to get there. So That's why purpose is at the bottom. People is next. I got into human resources after I went to university, and I really identified with the human part of business, I think, more so than the numbers part. I mean, people make the world go around. It's easy. I get stuck in my spreadsheets making decisions a lot. But people make the world go around, and they are the heart and soul of any business. So they are absolutely next most important, I guess, to me. But I just like the tree analogy that the people tie the core values to the process, and they are really what transfers the lifeblood between the purpose and the customer, which is what I would suppose might feed on the tree.
Yeah, the process is kind of the fruit, right? And the people are the thing that's bearing that fruit, right? Yeah, I like that. I like the analogy. I like that a lot. So some of the major considerations, things to think about, things to focus on when it comes to people. I would imagine, that what you dropped in there earlier about recruit, reward, retain, replace, those are all, those play a big role in that as far as being successful with the people side of the business.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of the things that tie the people to the process I lump in with the process part of the system as far as, giving feedback to employees and that type of thing. The one thing that I do have in the people part is an org chart of some sort or an accountability chart. So that is where everybody fits to make sure that we've got proper reporting structures and that, we're eliminating overlap and underlap in a business so that everything gets done, but we don't have a bunch of people responsible for one thing. And what I think a lot of businesses do is they take the people that they have and make an organizational chart out of the people that they have. And what's critically important is to make your chart for the needs of the business and then plug the people into that as needed. You will just run into no end of trouble if you try to make your people into an organizational chart. You have to serve your business before it can serve you. You have to serve your business before it can serve you.
Yeah. And by serving your business, you're talking about having that organizational chart and plugging the people in as needed rather than just saying this business is a family-based business and everybody in the family is going to be involved no matter what.
Right. I mean, that things definitely get tricky there, right? But you can make it work. If you do that, then you are trying to make it so that the business serves your family and as a customer more so than as an owner. And that will create a lot of tension, a lot of challenge. I'm not saying that you can't possibly work through that, but if you create your chart to serve the business and then plug the people in as needed, you will have much more harmonious action moving forward.
Yeah. We can't have this discussion without me quoting Dallas Mount on episode 2 of the Working Cows podcast when I asked him what's the biggest hurdle to success in an agricultural business. And I think it's with any business, but he said, without a doubt, it's the people. And that, early on in my journey, that blew me away. But the more you talk to people, the more you realize, as Alan Crockett said, everything's a people problem. And we got to approach it from that direction. And if we can do as much as we can to reduce the friction that people are going to experience, that's going to, make it all click, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. What are anything else there on people that you typically like to mention or focus on?
No, that's the bulk of it. I mean, it's really just having people. If you have people that match your purpose, your core values, the culture of your business, then you're going to have a harmonious business. If you have a place for them to do work, then it's really going to work. I mean, you can't just bring people in because they're the right person. If they don't fit a role in your business, it's going to come to a poor end, I guess. It doesn't work. You can't support people that can't serve the business. But if you have the right people in your business, that just makes life so much better.
Yep. And we're vetting those people mostly in relationship to their fitting with our mission, our purpose, and our core values and those things, right? I mean, that's kind of
that is half. That is only half. They absolutely have to have the right place, right? The right seat on the bus. I think it was Peter Drucker, the right person, the right seat on the bus. So I mean, if you've got a business and you need a welder and you go out and hire an accountant that matches your core values perfectly, how well do you think that's going to work out?
Right.
I mean, maybe they're really growth oriented and they can go and learn welding really quickly, but it's probably not going to work out that well. So yeah, the right person is only half the equation. The right place. They need to be in the right place.
Sure. Very good. So purpose, people, process. Let's talk a little bit about process and some of the things that you're thinking about there.
Yeah. So a lot of it is based around communication, planning, and then reviewing, and then just trying to get better in that whole cycle. So for us, we do weekly meetings to make sure that everybody's on the same page. A lot of businesses might need to have daily huddles. And basically we split our meetings into two types: tactical meetings and strategic meetings. So tactical meetings are where we're sort of planning our day-to-day, boots on the ground. What are we going to do and how are we going to get it done? And then strategic, that's going to happen more quarterly, annually, to, I guess, identify the big things that we need to do to move us towards our bigger goals, right? So call them keys. But so our weekly focus meetings, we do them every week, and we do them religiously. So about 50 weeks a year. This Monday and next Monday, we are not. I'm here by myself. Other than that, everybody dials in. If you're gone, you dial in from Zoom. It gets everybody together and everybody on the same page. And that has been, it's a real game changer. And some businesses definitely have to do that daily as well. So daily tactical. Then quarterly strategic meetings. So that's where you're just looking at your longer term goals, your 1, 3, and 25-year goals. You review your vision, make sure that everything is in alignment, review progress from the last meeting, and handing out, I guess, bigger items, action items that are going to take you towards your goals. And then we've got pit stop strategic. So a lot of times during your tactical meetings, you'll have things come up that don't fit in the tactical side of things. So we'll put them in the parking lot, and we'll have, if it's important, then we'll have a pit stop strategic meeting and discuss those separately. But you want to run effective meetings. Like having meetings just for the sake of having meetings, that is not cool. You can have meetings because that's what businesses do, but that is not the way that you want to do it. They need to be productive, or else don't have them at all, and minimize the amount of time you spend in them for sure. But they are extremely valuable if you do them right. Pit stop strategics as necessary. And then annual meetings, strategic meetings, where you fully review your vision and mission. So any tweaks that might need to be made, that's the time that you make them. And then you live by that for at least the next year. And you're not going to see huge changes year to year. But I mean, business changes, life changes. You have to be able to tweak the direction of your business. And that's your opportunity to do that when you review it annually.
Certainly. Very good. Helpful stuff there. So tell me about the agenda of a tactical meeting.
So we'll just always start on a positive focus. On our weekly meetings, we'll bring up one personal win and one professional win from the past week. And then
everybody in the group
last week.
Everybody in the group.
Yep. Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. Then we'll review the last week's progress. We'll go over what we didn't get accomplished, and we'll discuss the roadblocks. And that is where collaboration really comes into play, where somebody might have run into something. Like, we've got a lot of autonomy across the farm, and people aren't always working on a project together. So we might leave on Monday and not see each other till the next Monday. Sometimes that's pretty uncommon, but it's possible. So we'll review, and then we can collaborate on the issues that people had. And that's really fruitful. So when you get 4, 5, 8 people thinking on a problem, you're going to come up with a lot better solutions than one person just banging their head against the wall. So once we've got last week's roadblock sort of solved, then we will plan for the week ahead and really try and identify exactly what needs to be on it, and make sure that we've got a bit of a timeline on it. And in farming and ranching, when you're working with the weather, setting schedule, your schedules are always pretty flexible, right? But we identify we've got a matrix that every task can get assigned an importance. So every task is either urgent and important, urgent, not important, not urgent, important, not urgent, not important. So a a lot of our time is day to day is spent with urgent and important stuff. And then if you can get done all that, you want to start working on not urgent but important stuff and try and eliminate as much of the urgent but not important stuff as possible. But that's the process. We'll just go through and plan the next week out and make sure everybody's on the same page. And of course, like I said, in agriculture, there's a lot that's going to change over the course of the week, but you got to start somewhere.
Sure. And so like a personal win to start out that meeting, somebody's might be like, I got a new PR in my deadlift or something like that. Is that an example?
Absolutely. Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's been an uncomfortable thing to get started on. And we're still kind of getting used to that. It's just, I think we don't review our wins enough in general, but it helps to keep things in a positive frame of mind. And it's been a valuable thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so who is at a tactical meeting? Who's invited?
Well, I mean, that would be dependent on the business, right? So it would be whoever's involved in whatever operational group. For us, it's everybody in the group because we don't have multiple layers. So we have one operations group, so everybody's there. And depending on the season, we've had as few as 2 people there, but or as many as 7 or 8 people there. But if you've got a business where you've got multiple divisions or enterprises where they're really working separately, then they're going to have their own tactical meetings. Otherwise, you just get bogged down in bureaucracy.
Yeah. And who is going to be at the strategic quarterly pit stop or annual meetings? Is it a bigger group that's at this strategic meeting than is that at the tactical? That's kind of where I'm driving at with this question.
I would say it's whoever you want involved in driving the direction of your business, right? So if it's just, if you got a family farm and it's just you and your wife that you want making those directional strategic decisions, then maybe it's just the 2 of you. But if you want your team members involved, then absolutely. If you want some of them involved, that's, again, very individual, very up to you. It would really depend on the business.
Sure. Are there resources that you would recommend people check out as far as kind of these meetings and the agendas and how to do them well? Or have there been resources that have been helpful for you in that regard?
I've kind of made it up on the go myself. So I read a book here reasonably recently, Death by Meeting by Patrick Lencioni. And that was reasonably insightful, but it doesn't give you, a framework or a template really. You've got to make that individualized to your needs. It needs to be customized to your needs. If you don't want to do a personal and a professional win to start your meetings, then don't do it. If that's not you, if you don't feel comfortable, that's perfectly fine. But the idea is that you need to review your progress from last time, collaborate on solutions to problems that you came up with, and then plan for the week ahead. So those are the outcomes. It really is about just getting outcomes. Achieving outcomes. A lot of people are having these meetings in an informal fashion. Maybe they're having them sporadically. If you just make them happen more often, then it just is that much more valuable. But
do you have a timeline or a time limit in mind on a tactical meeting? Something you're shooting for this to last about this long?
Yeah. So ours will go anywhere from 10 minutes to they can be an hour. We're not going to spend any more than an hour. That if we do something's really gone haywire, and it probably should be put into the parking lot and put into a pit stop strategy meeting. So yeah, sure. We're not going to spend more than an hour on a Monday morning planning out our week.
Yep.
But again, that might be different for everybody. So if you're doing it on the daily, you probably don't want to spend an hour a day planning out your day. So.
Yeah, I've heard other people talk about those daily meetings. They call them a stand-up meeting. We're going to do this meeting standing up. We're not going to, it's going to be over quickly. We're going to just make sure everybody's on the same page. We're all know what we're responsible for today and what we're doing today contributes to us accomplishing the goals and some of those things. So, let's talk about growth. It's interesting to me that you mentioned growth as one of your core values. Let's talk about growing well. How do we do that?
Keep growing. I mean, I guess to me, it's a life principle. It's a law of nature. It's growth or death. You can only choose one or the other. Neutral doesn't really exist. And I tried that a little bit. I tried to just shift into neutral and be really thankful for everything that I had. I didn't need more. I didn't need to go and pursue more. But I realized that I started dying. My business started dying. It doesn't work. So that's why growth is critical. And growth doesn't mean in a business, it doesn't have to mean expansion. If you're a cow-calf guy, doesn't mean going from 200 to 400 cows. It can just mean getting better at what you do. So how do we grow? Well, pick something that you want to get better at and do it and take one step towards it. That's how you grow well. And then tomorrow, take another step towards it.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of some things that you've focused at growing in related to business over the years?
Not necessarily related to business. I think that all of the business growth that we've had is due to the personal growth that we've had from the people in the business. That's why people are the heart and soul of the business. So they set the potential of the business, the organization, the family. So if you want your business to get better and grow, you're going to have to grow yourself and grow your own skills. So that's really what it's about. Examples that I'm doing right now, I'm growing my physical fitness. That became really important to me, so that I'm stronger and sharper mentally, and it grows my discipline. And that makes me absolutely a better business person and puts me in a better place to run my business and a better leader. So it's hard. I don't focus on it as growing business skills as much as growing personal skills. And then you can use them in your business or anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Does each person have something that they're focused on as far as their own personal growth, or they're all kind of cognizant, hey, this is a core value of the business. I'm working on and seeking to grow in this area?
So we've really tried to use the winters for everybody to pick something that they would like to work on. So my livestock manager, he's going to the Ranching for Profit School in Saskatoon here in February. And, that's going to be a big growth opportunity for him. We try and identify something that they can work on. And that's part of our review process before the winter starts, because winter gets slow, and it's just it's a great opportunity to do that. So sometimes it's about learning new skills, but what we have started doing here is having light bulb sessions once a month. And that is where we'll gather as a team and just talk about a topic and grow everybody's knowledge on it. So I'll kind of teach on a topic, and it might not be business related. It might be, finance, which could be managing your personal finances, or anything like that. That would absolutely represent growth, and it does. So those are the types of things that we're doing. And I'm really excited about that one. That's been a lot of fun, and the feedback's been really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the light bulb session look like? Is that a shorter, longer session? How's that working?
They've generally been about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I prepare maybe an hour of stuff to sort of talk about, and then it's just very much back and forth. And that's what determines, I guess, the length of that. But so the last one we did was on cattle nutrition. We got in pretty in depth into that, and not the entire team doesn't know have to know the details of cattle nutrition, but it's very beneficial for them too. And it was really good. It spurred a lot of good back and forth. And I think everybody came out of it, more engaged and more knowledgeable and bigger. They grew. So
can you talk to me a little bit about a goal setting process? I'm imagining there are some goals that are on the front of everybody's mind, or that you're trying to keep on the front of everybody's mind throughout the year. Can you tell me a little bit about how that works in your ideal setting or situation?
So it starts by understanding your direction, which is driven by your purpose, which is why it's so critical to have your purpose. And that's why the foundation is there. So then you want to set a long-term goal. And we use 25-year goals, and that's from Dan Sullivan, a strategic coach. And it sets it out there so that it puts very little pressure on you to go and achieve it, because you've got lots of time to achieve it. And those goals can and should often feel like they are just barely achievable. If they don't feel that big, you probably haven't set it big enough. But so set that goal, and then your 3-year goals and your 1-year goals are just going to be small steps really towards that goal, or that set of goals that you have for as far as a 25-year goal, or it could be just the culmination of your vision statement. Within your vision statement would be a set of goals that you could extract out of there and create those 25-year goals. The 3-year timeline, I used to use a 5-year timeline. that's too long. It doesn't put any urgency on it, right? It's like, I'm going to wait 2 years before I take action towards this goal. Whereas if it's a 3 year, I'm going to have to start thinking about it right now. Right. So that seems to work pretty good. And then your 1 year goals are just sort of what you need to kind of get after immediately.
Yeah. But as far as the process of setting those goals, it's just kind of breaking down the longer term goals into more manageable chunks. Is that essentially what it is?
That's essentially what it is. Yeah. You're just creating a roadmap and setting pit stops on your way to what might be your final destination.
Sure.
The process is brainstorming the things that you're going to need to do, have, and become to ultimately be what you want to be. And so you brainstorm a whole bunch of things and you set those out as goals along your timeline.
Is there anything on your diagram that we've missed so far when we talk about your purpose, people, process, compass, tree, anything else on that diagram that we missed?
No, not from a high level view for sure. As far as the process goes, the one thing that I've got is operations manual and training procedures and things like that. And that's something that used to when I think standard operating procedures, I think of a 3-ring binder as thick as a shoebox, and it's just scary as heck. And I was going to go ahead and build one of those about 3 or 4 years ago. So I went out and took the clipboard and started walking around the farm and thinking about what I was going to do. And I wrote down a half a page of explaining the first task I was going to do. And I thought, this is really stupid. And I took out my phone and started videoing and essentially have made an operations manual of videos. And that has been great. So that's important. When you want to clone yourself and bring people in, you need really good training procedures to be able to get them onboarded quickly and off and going. Otherwise, it will take you more time than it can potentially save you. So
how has this thinking changed or shaped your life since you've been on this journey? I mean, give me a sense of where you were at maybe when you started and where you're at now and where you want to be in 3 years.
Well, I started this farm really from scratch 15 years ago, and I had a goal of getting to 10,000 acres, and I had no realistic reason to believe I was going to achieve that. And I did relatively quickly, actually. And it started realizing that I was in over my head. We expanded out into the cattle side of things a little bit. And I had needed some guys around to help me, which was just as much work managing them as really what they were given at times. And they were good people. I just didn't know how to manage them. I didn't have the skills. And that was one of my least favorite parts of the job, was the day-to-day management of people. And we had some opportunities come up to rent some more land and expand the farm. And I couldn't take it because I had no more time to give. I didn't have the skills to bring people on to do the work. And that was, looking back now, that opportunity is gone and I can't get it back again. And the cost to that is, potentially unfathomable. So that really hurt me. I was just struggling to keep up with what we had going on and started getting a lot of anxiety, which I didn't know was what it was at the time. But, so really feeling the effects of a lot of stress, which I thought was just part of being a successful businessman. But, so I sort of embraced it in a weird sort of a way, but not really what you want to do. So I got to a place there where those things were kind of coming together. One of my hired men was going back to school, and the other hired man, he needed to go somewhere else. So, and it was a bad drought. So I used that to sort of lay him off without having to fire him, and came to a fork in the road and thought, I've either got to throttle back and take this to a place where I can handle it myself with a little bit of help, or else I need to get serious about it and build a business. And at that same time, I had just read Dave Pratt's first book, and that led me into the E-Myth and this whole idea of creating a business that could survive without me for a year. I thought, man, that's cool. So I thought I had two options: throttle back or build it and try and do this. And I didn't know of any other farms that had really tried to do that were worth any more than the sum of the value of their assets, right? When somebody quits farming, they have an auction sale and they find out what they were worth. I really liked the challenge of trying to do something different. So I set myself a 5-year goal to make my business be able to operate independent of me, and started down that path and started developing the systems just one little piece at a time, and trying to get better operationally and bring in better people and train them better and get the processes right. And all of a sudden it kind of started coming to fruition. I was freeing up myself. We had to go during harvest. Our fourth baby, she needed heart surgery in August, right in the middle of harvest. And we had to go and be gone for, I didn't know how long. And we went, and the wheels kept on turning. We had good people around and good enough processes that they were able to keep on going. And so we kept going. And over the last few years in the spring, I've been able to coach baseball in May, and we're calving, we're seeding, we're doing everything in May, but I've assembled a good enough team, and we have, I'm not good enough, a great team. And we've got good enough processes that everything gets done. And it's maybe a bit of a hit on the ego that I don't have to be around all the time, but ultimately that was the goal, and we're sort of getting there. And the final step was to replace myself. And I just was very hesitant to do that because I didn't know what the heck I would want to do. I have no doubt that I could find somebody better than me to do this job. And I think that I have, incidentally, but I needed to replace myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And that's been a big part of my executive link journey, actually, is fleshing this out. And that is what has led me to here, to what I would like to do next, is to be able to help people to implement some of these systems and gain at least some peace of mind, the ability to take advantage of opportunities, and really buy the freedom to do whatever they'd like.
Wow. So you said early on, you set that 5-year goal to make the business capable of running without you for a year. How long did it take, or where are we at in that timeline?
Yeah. So I'd have to look back to know for sure, but I think we're at about year 4.5.
Okay.
So, and I have just brought the person on to replace me. At least at the operations level, I'm still going to be around operating, but to allow me to essentially go in and pursue this passion project here. And so, could I have done that a year ago? Maybe, but I was not clear that at that point in time what I wanted to do next. So that clarity has come, and that's where we're at. But it's amazing. You asked about goals before, and I don't have a great process for setting goals myself, other than just brainstorming and writing, having a list and writing down things that you want. But when you have a goal and you write it down and you commit to it, the universe aligns to make it happen. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Tell me about this, the passion project, as you called it. What is it? What does it look like? How would people go about working with you as a part of it?
It will get grown out. I've got an idea for about 3 different offerings, but the first one is a group setting where we'll be starting a group here. And like I said, we're going to do a beta group in January, but it will be a series of meetings, coaching sessions, group sessions to coach through the system, to help people install the POP system in their business, and then one-on-one group coaching sessions to customize it in any ways that they need, or solve, discuss any other problems that they've got going on, because that's something that I just love doing, is solving problems. And the thought of not having to create the problems myself to be able to solve is kind of fun. And I've got a tremendous amount of satisfaction when you give people ideas or turn light bulbs on, and that something has clicked and their life is going to be better. I coach a lot of baseball, and I get the same feeling there when you have something that somebody else needs and you're able to transfer it to them, and in a way that they can use it going forward, and that their life is going to be better before it. That's an unbelievable feeling. It's cool to help a cow when she's got trouble, but when you can actually help a human being, it's really awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So how would people get connected with you if they wanted to work with you? This will be out after January, after that beta group has been already in place. So you'd probably be looking for leads. I'm assuming after that for the group.
Yeah.
So what's that process look like?
Yep. So the website is just about ready to get up. It's kznsolutions.ca. So you'll be able to go there. By the time this airs, that'll be up and running. You can go there. You can connect with me on social media. You can go to our Kerpan Farms website, It's www.kerpanfarms.com. My contact information is there as well. So either of those three options, but the Kaizen website will be up and running by then, and that'll have a lot more detailed information on exactly what things look like and better contact information to get a hold of me and stuff like that.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, we will have links to all that in the show notes page for today. You can go there and find links to how to get a hold of Josh and how to work with him. And look forward to hearing how that goes. So really appreciate your time today. Very helpful. Thanks for joining me, Josh.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a real pleasure to be on here. Thank you for doing this. I've got so much value out of being on the other side of this podcast. So hopefully I can provide somebody with something today.
Hi, everybody. It's Clay Conry, host of the Working Cows podcast, recorded exclusively in the Understanding Ag studios. And this episode is brought to you by Ranch Right and the Wineglass Ranch. And this episode is brought to you by Ranch Right. Very good stuff there with Josh. Really appreciate his perspective and his ability to lay it all out in a way that is understandable. And hopefully you were able to glean some nuggets from his experience, and look forward to continuing to hear from Josh on this issue of leadership and escaping the entrepreneurial trap. Next week on the Working Cows podcast, we'll be talking to another member of the team at Understanding Ag. I think it's going to be Chuck Schembre, who has been on the podcast before, and we're going to talk to him about regenerative orcharding. And you're like, well, this is the Working Cows podcast. Well, we're going to talk to him about integrating livestock into orchards, and ultimately, right, this is one of the 6 principles of soil health. We need to figure out how to integrate livestock into every food production acre in America if we're going to have regenerative systems that are producing nutrient-dense food. And obviously, integrating livestock into orchards presents some challenges. So we're going to talk to Chuck about how he's been doing that and things that he's been seeing work on some of the acres that Understanding Ag has been consulting on. So we'll look forward to seeing you real soon on another episode of the Working Cows podcast.
We invite you to visit workingcows.net to subscribe to the show via iTunes or Stitcher. You'll also find detailed show notes pages, resources from our guests, and the industry leaders who have influenced them. For more ideas on putting your cows to work for you in a more profitable way, tune in next week.